Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order, Welcome to Panwo TV. I'm in Leicester. This is Leicester City Centre, as you see. I'm in a phone box because it's the only really private place I can film, and I do need a bit of privacy today because well, things are a bit dodgy. It's Thursday the 23rd of May 2013, and the reason I'm making this film, it's a bit of an emergency broadcast, and it breaks a habit of mine, which is to sort of like do lots of research before speaking publicly. The reason is I'm sort of breaking that habit today is that because yesterday, I'm sure you'll know if you watch the news, there was well, something happened in Woolwich in London. It's been reported that there was a very brutal murder of a young army recruit by a couple of Muslims, and the report says that they had hacked him to death with a meat cleaver, a knife, various implements, and they did it, you know, as because they're Muslims and they hate the British, they hate the army and stuff like this, and basically all hell's seems to be breaking loose. It's not as bad as I thought it was. I mean, I came to Leicester on my way. I thought Leicester's the most multiracial city in Britain, and I thought there's going to be riots here, there's going to be buildings on fire. That has not happened, luckily. But the English Defence League moved into and went into Woolwich last night, and I haven't seen the news, but I suspect there's riots going on there. This is what's been reported, and it's unfortunately this is going to be more of that kind of, there's going to be more sort of like all hell's going to break loose. We're going to see things like someone's going to throw a brick through the window of a mosque. Innocent people are going to be attacked on the street because they're dressed as Muslims, they're not white, they've got beards, etc. There's going to be retaliatory attacks against white people. And before you know it, you know, we're in this situation that we've been heading towards for a long time now. And you know what? I'm not convinced by the news stories that we've been told. I'm not convinced by them at all. This is really very strange, because first we hear there's been this murder, this brutal murder in the street. Next we actually see film footage, which looks very professional, by someone with a very steady hand, of one of the supposed perpetrators of this attack. He's a man, he's a young black man, he's wearing a jacket and a woolly hat, and he's holding a meat cleaver and a machete. Presumably he borrowed these things from the local butcher shop. And his hands are covered in blood. I mean, completely covered in blood. The back and the front is covered in blood, what looks like blood. He then makes a sort of like very dignified statement about why he did it, sorry that women are around, etc., which is a very Muslim thing to say. Then he says, you know, he makes a kind of political agitation statement in a very calm voice. Then kind of police move in and there's a shootout, and apparently he gets hurt. Now, the first thing that's wrong with this is that as you know by now, I'm an ex-hospital porter, and I've had to deal with people with blood and injuries. Because one of the news stories said that they actually beheaded this man. Now, what you'll get is, if you cut someone very deeply, you'll get an arterial laceration. That means one of the arteries gets cut, and basically it's been my misfortune to witness this happen. Now, not misfortune, I mean, it was my job, it was my duty, and I chose to do it, but it has been my duty to deal with these situations. What you get is, it's a bit gruesome to talk about, right, but it needs to be said. It's like a hose pipe, the way the blood comes out of the wound. Sometimes it flies into the air. I've had to clean the ceiling of operating theatres, which are 10 feet high. The ceiling's 10 feet high, and I've had to clean the ceiling of drops of blood that have been spattered onto the ceiling from someone lying on the table. Now, this man's remarkable. The man with the machete is with a weapon, a meat cleaver. His weapon's covered in blood. His hands are completely covered in blood, both sides. There's not a drop anywhere else on him. Maybe you can see it from the film footage and on the news. There may be like some stains on his cuffs, and that's it. When really, if he really had cut someone's head off or tried to cut someone's head off, it should be all over him. he should be covered in it. So that's very strange. Another thing, you know, as I've said before, I don't know if this is true. Okay, I may be wrong. All right, there may be an explanation for it. You know, I mean, but I'm just saying we should not automatically believe these news stories when they come out. Okay, we should not just accept them as the truth because it's on the BBC and it's on the news. All right. I've said before this many times. In my glass bombed in Burnley hoax, in my my microchip and Muslim Day video, which cost me my job. All these other videos, I'm saying that there's an agenda to try and start a civil war in this country. And whether or not this event was a real murder or whether it was just some sort of fabrication, some kind of charade, the government are going to use it through their agents to try and trigger a civil war in this country. This is why I'm quite relieved that everything seems to be quite normal in Leicester today. Everyone's sort of just getting on with their normal life. So hopefully people won't fall for it. But you've got to realise, right? The English Defence League, who are in Woolwich at the moment, or were there last night, are controlled opposition. They are, I'll use the word opposition in its broadest possible sense. They are a controlled organisation. They are run by the American neoconservatives and the Israeli lobby. Their antithesis, an organisation called Al Muhajiroon, and goes by various other names, is controlled by a man called Anjem Chowdhury, who wears a false beard, and you can actually see it in the film footage of him. And he is a supposedly former MI6 agent. Well, the only former MI6 agents are dead agents. What we're looking at here is a situation in which someone's trying to trigger a war between Muslims and non-Muslims in this country, and they don't put it past them to stage a fake attack or a fake news story involving a murder of a non-Muslim by a Muslim, especially a British soldier, because then you bring in the military religion, which I've talked about in previous films too. So it's a mixture of, because in a sense it's kind of like a purification of the anger, because it's a soldier, you know. Well, I may be wrong. It remains to be seen. But all I'm saying is there are suspicious elements to this news story, and whatever, you know, we've got to be careful not to take the bait. When these news stories comes out, we step back, give ourselves a moment of pause. Well, thank you for watching Hapan Woe TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.